Welcome to Cappuccino Chat. This time, backup is dead. Yes, backup is dead. So grab your cup of coffee, let's chat. Yes, backup is dead. What do I mean by that? Do I mean you don't need to backup? No. What I do mean is backup is no longer enough. Traditional methods of backing up your files, either to a USB drive, maybe a basic cloud storage where they're just doing file and folder, is dead. It is no longer enough protection for you. With the ransomware and malware infections that are going on, it is just a matter of when, not if, you need to rely on that backup. So, what do you need instead? Well, you need to look at a business continuity disaster recovery service. What do I mean by that? It's no longer not just about backing up those files, programs, but how fast can you recover if something were to happen? So ask yourself this: if you were to get a ransomware attack and all of your files on your server were encrypted and you no longer had access, what kind of impact would that have on your business? Now, unfortunately, only you can answer that question. So if it's going to be a week before I can get those files back to you and get your server back up and running, what kind of financial impact will that have on your business? So your clients are going to know, your employees basically won't be able to work because almost everything we do nowadays is on the computer, and you'll no longer have access to your records and communication to your clients. So you need to add all that up to figure out what it's worth. If we were to go back to the traditional backup methods, if something like that were to happen, we would have to possibly reload the operating system, then reload all your applications, then restore your data from the last backup. Now, those old backup methods, typically people just backed up once a day. So if it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon when this attack happened, you're basically losing a whole day's worth of data. So you want to look at a solution as well that can back up multiple times within the day. So you want to look at a solution that can back up multiple times within the day. So if your risk level is such that you need to be backing up files every 4 hours, or maybe every hour, or as little as every 15 minutes, that you set that back up to do that. Another thing to look at is that we back up everything. So we don't want to just back up the data. There was a prospect that I went to meet with once, and they had a backup solution that was installed by their IT guy. This solution was set up as a file and folder backup. So they originally selected the folders that needed to be backed up, i.e. all the files underneath it. Well, what they didn't realize was that application, as new folders got created, were not being backed up because they weren't selected. You have to go back in and select those folders and files again. So, of course, something happened, they needed to restore, and wouldn't you know it, the files and folders weren't there because they were never selected. You're going to want to put cloud into this mix. Now, here in California, we don't get a lot of big disasters that wipe people out, but you do hear of floods, fires, and of course the earthquake where damage can happen. So you want to make sure that that data is moved off-site. In the old days with the tapes, we used to eject the tapes and somebody would take those home. Nowadays, people are taking USB hard drives and taking those home. But what happens if you forget, that person is sick, you leave it in the car, somebody breaks into your car, steals it, it's left out in the hot sun in our 120-degree days, and something happens to that hardware and renders that backup useless. So you really want to look at doing something with the cloud, as well as what happens if you lose power or something does happen to that building. Again, how fast can you recover? So can you virtualize or create that server or servers that you now no longer have access to in the cloud and then access it from home, Starbucks, or wherever you might be with an internet connection? We need to start thinking of these solutions, this business continuity, disaster recovery, as data security. It's about the data, not about backing it up itself. Again, your data is what's valuable for you. We want to get you access to that data as quickly as possible. That time to restore services is very important. Now, we're not just talking about your servers. You may have some important desktops that also need to be backed up. Maybe your HR or your financial data is stored and protected on another machine or on another person's computers. You want to look at those. You also want to look at backing up your cloud applications, i.e. Office 365, Google apps. Microsoft and Google do not back up your data. With Office 365, if you delete an email, you have 2 weeks to undelete it before it is gone. So, if something happens and you delete something thinking you don't need it, and then you go on vacation for 2 weeks, and you come back, and then realize, oops, I kind of need that file. I know it was here. What happened? Oh, that's right, I deleted it. It's too late. Microsoft won't be able to get that back for you. As well as they're not backing up the SharePoint sites if you're using it. Your OneDrive data, if you're using OneDrive, none of that is being backed up. So in the case of OneDrive, if you were able to get malware or ransomware and infect that OneDrive location, or again, delete something by accident, Microsoft cannot get it back for you. So you want to look at that data security piece on those cloud applications. If you're paying someone to host a file for you or an application, how do you know they're backing your stuff up? What is in your contract and how often are they testing it? Can you ask them for proof that it's being done? So if you have a cloud application and someone deletes a record, can they get back that individual record? Or do you have to restore back to their last full backup, which means all records that were changed from the last backup will be overwritten. You want to consider that. So again, can they restore just that single individual record? Or do they have to take the whole database back to that last point in time when the backup was done? You want to review those cloud applications and those contracts you have with them on the backup. In the case of maybe QuickBooks Online, if you're using that, is there a way for you to do a manual backup every so often? So, again, backup as we knew it is dead. You now need to think from business continuity, disaster recovery. It's all about securing that data and how fast it takes you to restore that data and get operations back up and running. If you have any questions about your backup and steps that you can do, we'd be glad to come in and take a look at your system for you. We can come in and do an audit of your backup system, prove to you that yes, your correct files and folders are being backed up. How fast would it take to restore that equipment if something were to happen? And how are you getting that data off-site in the event of some kind of disaster? More than likely, we're going to point out some key areas for you to consider, and we can work with you to resolve those issues. Please give us a call, 760-770-5200. Till next time.